Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Hi, this is Ganesh Nayak. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also help students preparing for FRM and CFA exam. And I'm back with one of the interviews of my student who has been able to clear FRM level 2 in this attempt for November 2022. Okay, this was his first attempt and he has been able to clear. Now we want to understand what was his journey, what has been the challenges that he has faced, how he was preparing, how much time he was dedicating, and finally how he was able to clear the exam. So we have with us Karan. Karan, first of all, thank you very much for joining in and taking out time and talking to us. So Karan, just for the benefit of the audience, when did you give level 1? Okay, and when you started preparing for FRM level 2?
First of all, a very good afternoon to you, sir. And I would like to tell you, I gave my level 1 in May 2022, and I started my preparations for level 2 in July, exactly to be specific, on 10th of July. And my exam was on 24th of November last year. So
Okay.
I had approximately around 4.5 months to prepare for level 2.
Okay. So you started out with our videos sessions, right? And then every single day, what was the number of hours that you were dedicating?
Initially, I was giving somewhere around 6 to 8 hours. Later on, that was increased to around 10 hours every day.
Okay. And it was a consistent, say on an average 6 to 7 hours consistency that you had to follow, right?
Yes, sometimes I was not able to dedicate that much time as well, like because of certain issues. Because I was getting back to studies after around 11 years. Like
Okay.
in
Okay.
2011, I finished my graduation, and this was the first course that I was pursuing now after 11 years. And just
Okay.
because I wanted to just pursue my career in the field of finance. I was working with the operations team. I wanted to move to the finance domain. That's why I just wanted to just pursue this course.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, when you were preparing for FRM level 2, what what is the difference that you found in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the content as compared to level 1?
So as per my understanding, if you talk about level 1, that will be just a brief introduction of all the subjects, whatever, briefly you will talk about investment banking as well. But in-depth knowledge, if you talk about, that will be only given to you when you go for level 2.
And the number of chapters were also bigger, right? So like around 100 chapters.
The curriculum
So
is so vast, it was really difficult to retain things. You finish one book, move on to the next book, and the first one is again blank.
ha, 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 right. So from that perspective, so you were reading. So suppose, okay, which book order you started with? Was it book market risk, credit risk, or some other order that you followed?
I started with market risk because I found it was somewhat similar to the VAR concepts and the expected shortfall. It was similar to level 1, which we had already done. So I just started with that market risk book.
Okay,
But
then after
it
that,
wasn't
yeah,
easy at all.
I think so. The last 3, 4 chapters are also slightly tough now with respect to that interest rate tree creation and all from that perspective.
Exactly.
So now from after market risk, what was the flow that we were following?
Then credit risk, and then operation risk. And then I moved on to investment risk and the current affairs one.
Okay, in the same order, the order of the books
Yes,
itself.
exactly.
And
Same order.
when you were solving the question bank immediately when you were watching the videos, or what was the approach?
I started solving questions a bit later after finishing the course once.
Okay, and when that happened, ideally, which month you were able to complete
Uh,
covering the entire content?
I would say by 30th of September, I was able to finish the course once, but that was not enough at all. Because
Okay, so that. Mhm.
with such vast curriculum, going through the entire course once won't help at all because you won't be able to retain things.
Right. And then you started with the solving of the question bank for each chapter.
Yes,
Okay, so you were revising and then solving each chapter.
exactly. Yes.
So on an average, every single day, how many chapters you were able to solve on an average?
On an average, I would say 2 chapters per day.
Okay. And then when you were able to complete the solving, first of all, were you able to complete every chapter ka solving or not?
By 31st of October, I had finished my course twice, and then it was the revision time for the last 3 weeks.
Okay, so in that 1 month, you solved all the chapters ka question bank.
I would say yes, most of the questions were solved within that month.
Okay,
Most
okay.
of the chapters were completed within that month. Within that month,
And which book you felt slightly tricky in terms of preparation, in terms of retaining things?
I would say every book has its own level of complexity and concept. Some is conceptually very difficult, and some is theoretically there is too much of theory to retain.
Okay,
For me,
okay,
every book was as difficult as it could be.
okay. And then primarily in the last 3 weeks before the exam, you did one more full revision and you solved mock papers.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, what was the average score that you were getting in the mocks?
Somewhere around 48, 50 out
Okay,
of 80.
out of 80, 40 or 50. Okay. And then when you went for the exam day, so first of all, what was that first 1 hour?
I was able to manage with the speed. I was able to complete 20 questions in the first hour, but I did not know that whether it was enough or not. I just managed to finish the complete exam just on time.
But how many theory and how many calculation questions were there?
Approximately around 10 to 15 calculation questions, and those calculations were very intensive. Like
Okay, time consuming.
those were, yeah, it was time consuming, yes, indeed.
So out of those 15 questions, how much you felt that you've done properly?
I believe that should have done around 10, which should have been
Okay,
correct.
okay. And then what about the 85 theory question? Was it
65 theory questions.
65? Sorry. 65 theory question. Was it really easy, really tough? How was it?
I would say the exam is overall very tricky. Even if you know the answer, you won't be able to just go for it at one go. It was very difficult to eliminate the options. Like even after memorizing the concepts multiple times, even then you will feel, yeah, no, this should have been the answer. And then you feel, no, even this is also right. It's very difficult
Okay.
to eliminate the option.
So you end up getting stuck in two options basically, and then
Yes,
solving part.
you will be able to eliminate two options very easily, but the last two options will be very tricky. Like you won't be able
Okay.
to decide among those two
So
options.
out of those 65, what do you think you got right, correct answers? You, as per your understanding.
As per my understanding, I believe I might have got around 40.
Okay. So overall, out of 100, out of 80, you should have got 50 correct overall. That is what your
Should be
estimate
more
was.
than 50.
Okay. Okay.
50, 55 what I'm expecting.
Okay. And then when you got the result, what were the quartiles? Which book you got very good and which book you got bad?
I got the highest in the market risk and the credit risk, and
Okay.
not so good in operational risk and the liquid risk.
Okay. Okay. With respect to operations, because it is very theoretical, a lot of students face
Mhm.
problem that they don't remember the content. So how much reading you had done for the operation risk book? And I know that you have been only reading Swagger, but apart from Swagger, did you read GARP also in your preparation?
No, I did not.
So Swagger was, and when you gave the exam, you felt that Swagger is enough for reading
So
and
even
retaining the content.
for me, because I was getting back to studies after such a long period, even for me, reading Swagger was a big challenge. Like what I used to do was I used to watch your videos first, and then I used to go and just read Swagger after that. Then it
Okay,
was much simpler for me.
okay, okay. And but reading a Swagger as a book from your experience, was that enough for you to tackle all the questions in the exam?
It is enough to tackle the questions.
Okay, okay,
But what is difficult is to memorizing the concepts, like memorizing the things, whatever you have read, and then eliminating the options. That was the difficult part.
okay, okay. Got it,
Even the
got it.
easiest question is framed in such a manner that even though you know the answer very well, even then it is very difficult for you to just select that option.
Right, right. Now, obviously, when the result came in, now what is the next step that you're looking out for? You are thinking that you'll be moving back to the corporate side now, right? And you will look after that
Exactly.
journey now. And you have been informing your friends. What has been the reaction of people around you looking at, because you've cleared level two in first attempt, okay? And the level one, if I'm not wrong, was also in the first attempt. So that that gave a very good boost, right? Because you had a gap of around 11 years that you said, 11 year. And so that gap, after that gap coming and giving a very difficult exam and that to clearing it is definitely a good boost. And the good part that you mentioned that you started out in July, immediately after your May. So that is also feasible if you
Exactly.
do.
So when I
Obviously,
contacted you at that time, there was no live match available, and that's why I had to just go for the video option because I did not want to waste any more time. I just have to get back to my work as well. I just now have to resume my job as quickly as possible.
right, right. Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure this interview is going to be really interesting for a lot of level two students, and also this certification is going to be really helpful in your career to move to good roles, good opportunities, and good salaries packages also. So thank you very much, Karan. Thank you for putting out time and talking about your journey and your way of
Thank you so
clearing the
much, sir.
exam. Thank you,
Thank you
Karan.
so much.